this would be, again, people playing checkers and the Rays playing 3D chess in outer space.
This would be unacceptable. Like, and I'm not saying unacceptable in a legal sense. Like, if it's legal and it's on the bylaws or whatever, fine. Like, you made a great deal. But like, it would be a very, and this is maybe a strong word here.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays. From game analysis to player interviews, we've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
In every season, they've gone to the playoffs except for 2024, but you can still grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, and subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Who's on the screen, Kevin? Oh no,
Stu Sternberg, who we have a close personal relationship with. He texts and calls and emails on a regular basis, but he did not make us aware of the wild and strong comments he made in regards to Pinellas County and the city of St. Petersburg delaying the bond vote on a new stadium in St. Pete. And there are now questions that the whole new stadium could be jeopardized. And furthermore, baseball in Tampa Bay, the future is uncertain if you look at and read and evaluate the comments from Stu Sternberg, which are not good, evidently.
No, they're not. And I thought we were done with this stuff, man. I thought we were done. We had just and a damn hurricane. Actually, no,
multiple hurricanes. Yeah. Actually 3, because then we had Debbie, Helene, and Milton.
You're right. Debbie was first.
But I think it was Helene and Milton that did the most damage. Well,
right.
Milton, of course, but it's still been a wild summer/fall in the Tampa Bay area. And that has led to a confluence of events that may mean Rays baseball in Tampa Bay could be no more in a couple of years.
Yeah, no, it's not good. We got Stu's quote up here. Do you want to go ahead and read it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and put it out there. So just some background again, the Pinellas County Commission, they've already postponed one vote on bonds that would go toward the financing of the ballpark, and they appear poised to delay it again this coming Tuesday. The setback has already disrupted a series of deadlines that have halted construction plans that would likely cause a significant increase in the cost of the project. Those increased costs would fall on the Rays. But here's what Stu said to the Tampa Bay Times the other day. Quote, last month, the county commission upended our ballpark agreement by not approving their bonds as they promised to do. That action sent a clear message that we had lost the county as a partner. The future of baseball in Tampa Bay becomes less certain after that vote. He goes on to say, it's a confluence of events, and without the minds here coming together, relocation is not an unlikely conclusion.
One thing that bothers me, well, many things bother me, but out of those words of his, it's a confluence of events, and without the minds here coming together, relocation is not an unlikely conclusion. Without the minds here coming together. Funny you say that, Stu, because from the other side, city council saying that they haven't heard a lick
right.
of communication from you. And you're saying the minds are not coming together. What? Someone's lying. Someone's lying. Who's lying? Are you both lying? What's going on?
Yeah, it's crazy what is happening. And I know that as much as we hammered on Pinellas Commissioner Chris Latvala the other day, he did bring it up. He's actually been tweeting a firestorm.
He's been tweeting through it. He's been tweeting through it. Like,
yes,
put the
exactly.
phone down.
And one of those points was that, they hadn't heard from the Rays. And when they heard the announcement about Steinbrenner, it was through the news media. It wasn't a courtesy call ahead of time. So there are issues afoot in many, many ways. And what's interesting about all this is that per the Tampa Bay Times, if the stadium deal is dead because the county stalled the bond vote, the rest of the proposed $6.5 billion redevelopment deal might still be under the Rays' control with their partner Hines. So the way I read this is the Rays still could cash in on the redevelopment in that area while playing baseball in Nashville or Charlotte or, fingers crossed, city of Tampa, whatever it may be, which I don't know how they can get away with it. But again, as you mentioned the other day, Ulises, and as we've continuously mentioned, the Rays organization is very smart. Stu Sternberg is very smart. You don't get to be a billionaire by being an idiot, usually. Nope. I guess you could act an idiot in front of the camera and make $1 billion that way, but that's not how Stu did it anyway. Nope. And that would be insane to me. That would be the total. People talk about, friend of the program, David Sampson, pulling the rug over Miami and Miami-Dade County. But this would be, again, people playing checkers and the Rays playing 3D chess in outer space.
This would be unacceptable. Like, and I'm not saying unacceptable in a legal sense. Like, if it's legal and it's on the bylaws or whatever, fine. Like, you made a great deal. But like, it would be a very, and this is maybe a strong word here, but I'm not calling them that. I'm calling, if somebody were to do this, it would be very snaky.
Yes.
It would be kind of a snake move to relocate this team somewhere else away from the region and still cash in on the real estate redevelopment. Like, that would not, you could not come back to this area and have people get you drinks.
No.
On the other side, if you're on the other alternate universe where you do stay and you may and you have goodwill comments and you make it so that the stadium is here and you kind of change your tune, people will, hey, Stu, can I buy you a drink even though you're a billionaire? Can I do that? That attitude can happen. Didn't the San Diego Padres fans love Peter Seidler? Mm-hmm. They did. I'm pretty sure most Mets fans like Steve Cohen. You can have a good relationship with your fan base. You just have to show that you care and that you're not going to be able to do snake moves like this.
Right. And the other thing too is, again, I know it sometimes gets confusing between the county commission and the St. Pete City Council. We still have the whole Tropicana Field reparation on the table. And if the council is reluctant to pay for repairs beyond their $25 million insurance policy, the Rays would essentially become free to consider the possibility of a permanent relocation away from Tampa Bay as soon as 2026. So there is thought out there that the Rays play 2025 in Steinbrenner Field. We had the ticker tape parade. We had all the pomp and circumstance. We're excited about it. We're still excited about it. But a year from now, a year plus from now, they could be playing in Durham or finding some other facility outside of the Tampa Bay area, not just short term, but long term. And that is, I think, even more at question, because if the Rays are coming out with comments like this, if you're St. Petersburg, then why would you even go through the headache of repairing Tropicana Field where there's no guarantee that the Rays are going to be, quote unquote, here to stay? In the roof, I know we had talked about the $56 million estimate coming in from the city and seeing, okay, maybe it's not as bad as what some people out there thought, like Jim Bowden thinking it would be 9 figures. Well, it actually could be more expensive than that now that we're starting to learn. So there is unfortunately a lot at play here. And what's crazy to me is like, okay, delaying the bond vote, I get, because you had a couple hurricanes and you're trying to get everything under you. But I don't know why Stu is coming out with these comments outside of the fact that construction costs would go up and it would impact the Rays' bottom line. But my understanding was that the local governments had until March to vote on the bond. So couldn't they delay it until March if they so choose, and still it would still be a kosher play at that point?
Maybe this is kind of his move of putting a little bit of more pressure on the council for them to do that.
Let's hope it is.
Feel like
Let's
it's wrong.
Just a play to get them to vote sooner rather than actually acting upon the, hey, we're moving out of state here.
Less of a worry, right? Like if you get the bond, okay, boom, now they can like breathe. Hey, this is happening. And because now you see that the city council has provided the money for you to feel good about, okay, we can now put our part. I don't know. I feel like even though if that's the reason of why he made those comments, it's untimely, bro. There were 3 hurricanes. Like, just have a little bit of. That's the thing with Stu, though. He really hasn't ever gotten the flavor of what this region is, of what the people want to hear. Like, he just hasn't.
He has no bedside manner, basically.
No bedside manner at all. It's very complicated to understand why this guy, after almost 20 years in the area, hasn't still been able to connect in a good way. But you can connect in a good way, Kev, by doing something very simple. And that's getting into FanDuel, man.
Yeah. That is true. FanDuel is a good place to go. And why is that? It is America's #1 sports book. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Where's that at? That is at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. They are an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so a couple other points on this before we get to some listener comments, and we also have some side news on Steinbrenner Field and some of the things that are happening there. With the Rays, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, hey, they're going to find a way to work out and be in Tampa Bay for generations to come, or 1, they are they've already got their eyes set on going somewhere else. Where do you fall in that line?
Oh God, man, I would think. I think it's a flip of the coin right now.
So it's a 5.
It's a 5. It's a 5.
Yeah. It sucks.
And that's not good, by the way, because we were at like -100 2 weeks ago.
I know. And I'm hoping that, look, if this is a play to play somewhere else, I hope that there's only one other place that they go, and that is Tampa.
Right.
That is finding a way to work it out with the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County. You play in Steinbrenner Field for a year. You see how amazing it is. You see how much fans want to show up and support your team. And there's somewhere in Ybor City or somewhere in the Tampa area, not in Pinellas County or St. Pete, that you're able to work it out and come to an agreement. And at that point, I'm like, okay, it sucks. It's snaky. It's shady. You still cash in on the redevelopment. I don't even care at that point because they're still playing in the Tampa area. I would be okay. I mean, St. Pete and Pinellas County are going to be pissed at that point. But hey, if they're in where we like them to be, I'm okay with that situation
And by
working
the
out.
way,
And that's what, there's been a lot of articles and a lot of coverage on Stu's comments, and Chris Latvala, he spoke to ABC Action News, and that seems to be his determination, is that, hey, the Rays are still angling to move to the Tampa side, for what it's worth.
I mean, yeah, no, like, how did Stu manufacture that hurricane? I know that there are some people out there that believe that hurricanes are actually manipulated by human beings, which is insane to me. But then again, there are some people that also feel like that the Earth is flat. So I mean, we've lost this education point in our.
Hey, he's not letting a good crisis go to waste, evidently.
Interspecies. No, he's not. People are knowing his name. People know his Twitter handle, and people also know his phone number at work, and also his email at work. Yes. So he's probably cashing in on his 15 minutes of fame here. Again, this wasn't made. If the hurricanes do not happen, this is smooth sailing. Like, Stu wasn't doing this. Stu wasn't going to go like, we're playing 2025 in Steinbrenner Field. We have a move to go to Tampa. Like, no, not at all. And also, to Latvala's point, and people that think like that, like, oh, they're just angling to play in Tampa. Why wouldn't they pick the Phillies? Okay, you do that research. Why wouldn't they pick the Phillies? Well, they don't have maximum capacity like the Yankees do. They don't have amenities as close to Major League ready as the Yankees do. They are actually have been angling for $300 or so million in renovation money,
which is crazy to me for a spring training site that is used for a handful of dates in March. And I know you have the single A team there, but that's a single A team. I know they draw pretty good, but it's
not okay.
That is crazy to me.
Nuts.
You should be using that money or more of that money for the Rays, quite frankly.
And because, it's more than just a stadium there with the Heinz thing. I mean, it's going to be a whole redevelopment of the area, as we've had multiple people on the show talk about.
Yes.
It's not just a stadium. So yeah, that this whole thing came out of nowhere, and it's devolving rather quickly.
It is icky, as the cool kids would say, or it gives them the ick, I guess.
Yeah.
Put it out on Twitter. Will the Rays be playing baseball in Tampa Bay for generations to come? Yep, we have it up on the YouTube there. 43% say yes, 57% say no. So there's growing uncertainty from the populace out there. And getting to some comments, Tampa Ty says, Tampa is going to figure this out. I don't care if I need to take out a loan myself. So I guess he really is referring to Tampa and not St. Pete, Pinellas County, which, again, I'm okay with. Jake Stokes says, still holding out hope that Tampa can come up with something. TB Sports Fan says, can't see it. I'm focusing my energy on getting an expansion team right now. Chris Snyder says, possibly Orlando. Danny Perez says, MLB and potential owners out there wouldn't allow a prime market like Tampa Bay to not have baseball. Either someone with interest buys the team or MLB tries to step in this St. Pete deal. And then Bob says, well, I'm not going to read that last one.
Don't read Bob.
No. But he has a comment directed at Chris Latvala.
Yeah.
So, really, your comments at this point should be directed to Stu Sternberg. Like, Stu, as far as like Latvala getting bad press, Stu just took the cake with this one.
Exactly. This is the thing with Stu, bro. You actually had the upper hand in this situation with this guy just trying to get his 15 minutes of fame. And then you come and say these comments like, bro, what? It's just like, hey, your team gets to the playoffs. Why don't I put a big ass sign on the stadium that says we're going to Montreal? Like, what are you doing, Stu? Also, two things with those comments. Number one, there's a lot of anger / denial / bargaining, which are 3 of the 5 steps. That's not good, people, by the way. Yes. That's number one. Number 2 of those comments, there was one that had a little thread, and I want to show it to you guys on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, hit that like button right now. It's for free. It helps us with the algorithm. Please do that. Hit that like button. TB Sports Fan goes, can't see it. I'm focusing my energy on getting an expansion team right now. Alex says, there's a 0 chance we're getting an expansion team. Our only shot is keeping the Rays here still somehow. The reply from TB Sports Fan goes, not zero. If incompetent ownership and poor management by the county forces a team out of one of the largest markets in the country, MLB will certainly look to come back with a much better owner. Same with Oakland. TB Sports Fan, give me whatever you're having, because it must be delicious. It must feel amazing. It must feel so good. So please send me the recipe of whatever it is. There's no way in hell that a team that loses, its franchise is going to get rewarded with an expansion team 4 or 5 years later. If the Rays move, we will not have baseball for the next 20, 30 years, at least.
Yeah, the smarter play is just have the Rays stay here where you have a fan base. Hold your jokes. Fan base, people that are Rays fans, they have kids, they become Rays fans. You get in here and you build some sort of tie to the community. And then you have the $2 to $3 billion expansion team in your Charlotte or your Nashville where they can grow their fan base respectively. It doesn't make sense to have one team relocate and then bring a new team in. I know it's happened with like the Colts moving to Indianapolis and then Baltimore gets a team, but I feel like it's a lot less muddy to just do it the simple way. But
what was that? Do you remember the year when that happened, by the way?
Oh, I think it was in the 90s.
30 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It's a whole, I mean, that's a generation, man. Right. I completely disagree with TB Sports Fan 100%. The Rays move away, you're not going to have another expansion team here coming. I'm sorry. Yeah. You're being delusional.
Well, spring training baseball, that's about the effect of that is what we'll have. So,
and guess what? If you want to do some spring training, you got to use Game Time, people. Game Time is the place where you can buy tickets with no worries. They've got incredible deals. Using Game Time picks, you can see the view from your seat on your phone before you buy. All-in pricing shows your total cost up front. Imagine if the stadium deal had all the costs right up front, and we all actually knew what it was going to cost in the end. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Game Time does that for you. So today, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Kevin?
Game time. All right. Changing gears here to more positive things, hopefully. Although I guess anytime we're talking about the Rays, there's going to be an air of despair in the air, unfortunately. But Steinbrenner Field, have some details on the Rays and what they plan to do there. There are no plans to add any temporary bleacher type seating, so the 11,000 capacity will pretty much stay as it is. Most ticketing deals are still being worked out and may not be finalized until after Thanksgiving. Season ticket members will get first dibs on that. Logos, promotional materials, signs for advertisers and sponsors, which will allow the Rays to recoup some of their revenue. Those will be displayed, as will scoreboard graphics. Almost all of the Yankees materials can be taken down or covered up, including large letters atop the seating areas down both foul lines that spell out Yankees. The large team store outside the stadium also expected to be rebranded. Maybe the most interesting thing out of all this is we could have later start times as opposed to the 6:40, 6:50 that we've been used to. This is in effect to combat the late afternoon rains and heat that, of course, you have to deal with in Florida summers. There were a crap ton of interrupted games at Steinbrenner Field from June to September, either postponed or delayed by rain. So I think you're going to have to maybe play games at 7:40 or 8, something to that effect. Visiting clubhouses will likely be expanded and upgraded or replaced by a temporary facility, such as a high-grade tent adjacent to the stadium. And the expectation is that the Rays would play their postseason home games at Steinbrenner Field, which to me, I think is the only option. You have a team that sets up home there for 81 games, You're used to that facility. You're used to the amenities. You're used to the clubhouse. You're used to the field and the gameplay and how to take advantage of some of those things. I think it would behoove them, as much as it sucks that you can't bring in 30, 35,000, that you play where you've been playing all season as your home.
A lot to go in depth with those comments. Yes, let's start with that last one. You can't, I mean, it seems like a disadvantage to that team that made the playoffs in those circumstances to just go, oh, by the way, now you're no longer playing here. Fan base, you're no longer playing there. Unless the only caveat would be if the Trop has been fixed and is available to play playoff games. That's the only way that I would be like okay with them not playing their playoff games in the stadium that they played the whole season. But with the rebranding and the opportunities to get some sponsorship, I think that's really cool. I think so far the Yankees have shown nothing but grace. Pretty cool by them. Pretty cool of MLB. I'm sure there's obviously the $15 million that have been talked about that the Rays have to pay the Yankees. Although now that figure has been said, it could be more, it could be less. It might not be that. It might not have to be paid by the Rays. So there's a little bit of question marks surrounding those 15 mil so far. But yeah, the promo deals are going to be great. The ticketing, I mean, you talked about that last week, with 11,200 of capacity in the Steinbrenner field instead of the average of 16,400 that the Rays had last year. So how are you going to make that money up? Or are you just going to resign yourself into saying, hey, we're just going to take a loss? Like Stu did.
I don't think the Rays are going to do that. I think parking is going to be jacked up, and so are the ticket prices. If the average ticket price at Tropicana Field was $30, it might now be $45, because you also have a larger pool of people to draw from on the Tampa side versus the St. Petersburg side.
Maybe more money, maybe more sponsorships with businesses.
Yeah,
they get those suites, or they get the large patio areas. Like, it's going to be interesting. Now, I want to focus on the starting time. The later times. So I don't think, I mean, we have nightly rains, but it does seem like there would at least give you a more chance to drain if there was a big afternoon storm. But then again, if you start the game at 8 p.m., you're looking at a 10:30 p.m. end time with the new rules with the pitch clock. So 10:30 p.m. Still not horrible, I feel like, especially for most people that are living in Tampa. That wouldn't be that bad, right? You're home by 11 p.m., which sometimes that wasn't even the case.
Exactly, if you're coming from St. Petersburg. And the other thing, too, I feel like you don't, because I had to deal with this when I'd go to my handful of Tarpons games and they got postponed or rained out. You start the game at 6:30, 6:40, 6:50. You're in a rain delay, or the field is still drying up. People are just waiting around for an hour and a half doing nothing. But I guess on another end of things, maybe that's an opportunity to sell more concessions too. You have people waiting around and getting more beer and more soda and more chicken tenders and more burgers and more pizza, and you can make more money out of that. But it's also very frustrating that you expect a game to start and you have to just lay around for a while.
Simple question for you. Do you remember if you were able to come in and out during those rain delays, or once you're in, it's the same rule, no matter if it's a rain delay, you're out, then you cannot come back into the stadium?
Yeah, how it was with the Tarpons, you could leave. In fact, they would tell people sometimes during a thunderstorm or a lightning storm to go to their cars or wait in their cars and come in after it's transpired. But I don't know how the Rays would handle that.
There's not a lot to do also in that area by walking. So,
unless you want to get pictures with Raymond or buy some merchandise in the team store. There's that.
Yeah. So. Is there a Tom Brady statue yet or not yet?
Not yet. No. Okay. That's the other thing is Steinbrenner statue will still be evident and invisible, as will the monuments that are outside of the ballpark of all the Yankees greats there. So, there we go. Let us know what you think in the YouTube comments. Are the Rays here to stay or not? That is the $1 billion question, however you want to put it there. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.